everybody. My name is Sean Moore from ACSI, and with me today I have Marvin Welby-Soloman, who's one of our school principals. Marvin has a secret. He's a chemical engineer as well. And in my contact with Marvin, he has shed some light on just some really good tips when it comes to disinfecting and cleaning your school. And I thought it'd be a wonderful opportunity to hear from a chemical engineer who knows more than I do as far as this stuff is concerned. And he's just going to share some light on the whole process that we could be going through in our school. So Marvin, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to what you're going to share with our viewers today.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to share just some information, and happy to assist where I can. I'm just going to try and keep it short and sweet and just try and encourage you on how simple it is to actually keep your schools clean and keep them sanitized. And I have a little bit of an example. I'm just going to flick the camera around here. You'll probably see in front, I've just got some of your typical, cleaners that you may use in a school. We're a reasonably small school, so I think we've got about 100 kids, but nonetheless, we still keep our school clean. No doubt ACSI has shared this document. It's essentially from the DBE that contains some of the standard operating procedures that ACSI has shared. And there's quite a lot of good information in there, and you'll find around cleaning and disinfection on page 13, 14, and 15. It tells you quite a bit about cleaning and disinfection. So I just wanted to simplify that down a little bit more, just so that you understand the difference between cleaning and disinfection, because they are two separate things completely. Cleaning on the one hand, you probably have seen Handy Andy, you probably have that at home as your household cleaner. We get an industrial, which looks rather green, but that's obviously in its concentrated form. We'd mix that down with water, and you can also mix this down with water. Both of these things that we utilize are not any form of disinfection. You'll even see on the Handy Andy bottle, there's nothing in here that says kills germs or does any of that. It is just purely a dirt remover. So these are very important for the first stage of your job of keeping your school clean, and that is cleaning. So we clean for one simple reason: to make sure that there's no grime, that there's no soiling, that there's no biofilms that are forming on your surface. Essentially, it's to allow your surface to stay clean and shiny, that no bacteria or any form of fungus or mold can grow further on. That's exactly why we clean, and we use this simply diluted with water, put in a bucket, and we clean all our surfaces from our walls, floors, tables, and chairs. This must be done before we do the next step in cleaning, which is called disinfection. Now, you've probably seen Domestos. This is a household cleaner. We use this in our bathroom and in our toilets here at school. You can also use Jik, but just a notice on this, please make sure you use an SABS approved product. The reason we do that is to make sure whatever it says on this bottle is what's inside, and that's why we use SABS approved products. This one, if you look on page, I think it's 15 of this manual, it talks about some of the technical specifications of disinfection. And what they say here is that you need a household bleach at a concentration of about 0.5%. Now, this Domestos, for example, if you look on the bottle, it is 3%, which means it's a lot more concentrated than what you would actually need. So spraying this on the table or a child's table and then wiping it off is actually not the best way to do it. What you would need to do is either dilute this down or dilute Jik down to about 0.5%. And a simple formula that you have to do that, if this is 3% on the bottle, what that means, you just need to multiply that number by 2, which makes 6. So that means that 1 part Domestos mixed in a spray bottle plus 5 parts of water would give you a 6-part solution of 0.5%. So again, if it's 3%, you multiply that number by 2, and that'll get you 6. So you add 1 part Domestos and then 5 parts water, and that'll get you a disinfectant solution of 0.5%. And then from there, you will then spray it on your table after you've cleaned. You can spray it on kids' toys, you can spray it on desks, you can spray it on high contact areas, so any of the taps that you're using, or the handrails, any of those things that need to be disinfected throughout the day, you have it in a neat spray bottle, which you can then use. We obviously use a slightly different product, and there's a whole range of products that you can use. This one is obviously safe to use in a child environment, and there are many other products available. But that's essentially the difference between cleaning and disinfection. They are two separate things altogether. The one you would do only after you've cleaned, and the one you do to ensure that your surfaces stay free of grime, free of organic dirt, and they must be done after each other, not before each other. There's no point in disinfecting on dirty surfaces. You want to make sure that the surfaces are clean. The last type that the government has also mandated for us to use is 70% alcohol hand sanitizer. These are only generally supposed to be used for your hands, and each one of our teachers, we've made this part of our mandated PPE, that they would have this on them at all times. So if ever they need to adjust their mask or their face shield, or if they're on the playground, they don't have access to a tap, they could use this to then sanitize their hands. That also is very different from sanitizing equipment, such as tables and chairs and toys and the like. So yes, that's essentially a summary of what it would mean to actually have cleaning, disinfection, and hand sanitization. There are 3 different things, so ensure that you do them correctly and obviously properly.
Thanks, Marvin. Just one question that I want to ask is when I spoke to you just recently, you spoke about the disinfecting, just spraying it off and not wiping it off after you've sprayed. And
Yes.
you just leave it on the surface. Just talk a little bit about that.
So absolutely. I mean, our decon spray here, disinfectants, essentially they need time for action. So what you would do is normally, if you do a cleaning situation, you can clean and you can wipe it off. The surface is actually clean. You're not looking to kill any bacteria or viruses on the actual surface. These ones all have varying different ranges. I know our decon spray, that is something that needs to be left on the surface for at least 5 minutes. There are various other sterilants or sanitizers that you can get that you should leave on throughout. Essentially, you should not be wiping it off, because that effect to actually kill the germs that we know to be on surfaces, it needs to be left on and stay moist. Don't spray it on and wipe it off. And that's one of the reasons we've chosen one that is safe for even consumption if we need to. Not that we advocate any of that, but if a child were to lick a surface that has this on, they wouldn't be harmed. So again, we've got to plan our cleaning so that we allow time for these things to be left on the surfaces, especially when you're changing between different groups. If you're doing platooning in terms of schooling and you have a class that's coming in later, you need to clean the surfaces, but then spray it on the surface and leave it on the surface. Let it dry naturally, and what you'll have is then a clean and sanitized surface.
So very quickly, Marvin, how long would that last on a surface? That would obviously depend on the product itself, but generally, how long will it last?
Yes, it depends on the product. I know there's a whole range of products varying in expense. What they recommend is that a typical product like a Domestos or a bleach, that you would need to spray on, I think, every hour. Obviously, it depends on the high frequency of whether you're using door handles or you're using toys quite frequently, and it depends on the use. You'd want to do those high contact areas every hour. Some aspects of things would need to be done after use, so you could sterilize after use just to be certain. Then you have this product which lasts only about a day, that can stay on surface, but no matter what, we encourage our teachers to use this throughout the day after activities. If they changing through any between different classes, if they're moving between different classes, we advocate that they use this on the surfaces and tables. They are very expensive products that you can go through, which can last up to 90 days, but that's a whole different philosophy of sanitization. And so those are products we're not exploring at this point, but I would say every hour, at least on the high frequency areas, and then at least once a day, twice a day for low frequency areas.
Excellent, Marvin. I don't have any more questions, but you certainly clarified for me and it helped me with a better understanding of the difference between cleaning and disinfecting. So thank you for your time, Marvin. Marvin from Ceder Hill Primary School, and bless
Awesome.
you, and all the best for your school opening in the future.
Thank you, and you too to all the listeners as well. Thank you, Sean.
Good. Thanks, Marvin. Excellent job.